go, and it has already been an absolute doozy. We have seen some crazy stuff be revealed, and I'm going to review all of it, including going into a deep dive, everything from their opening statements to the witness statements that have already been said. This is crazy. Now, we were expecting this to be a very graphic and brutal situation with this trial. We were expecting to hear some things that were really going to blow our minds, and this is not disappointed. Straight up from day one, this has already been really nuts. Like, the things that are happening in this trial already, there's twists and turns, and it's only been one day. We've only gotten through one full witness, and we've gotten into partial witness testimony from another, but it's already been crazy. These jurors are they're going to earn whatever money they're getting. I believe that the way that it works when you're a juror is I believe you get a sort of a per diem pay. Well, I don't know actually if they're getting a per diem pay because they're not sequestered, so they could go home at night, but they get some sort of form of payment in lieu of the money that they would be missing from being at work. So they're getting something. I don't think it's a lot, and I don't know if it's going to be worth it for what they're about to have to sit through. This is crazy for sure. So we're going to get into this in just a minute. I wanted to first off say my wife, my beautiful co-hostess, Jax, is here.
Hi.
And she just got back from her tattoo appointment. She got a bald eagle on her kneecap, and she's named it.
It's a neagle.
It's named Neagly, and she's really happy about
and when
it.
I bend my knee, his mouth opens and it's so great.
So that was her Mother's Day present, was she got a nice tattoo session. And we are all very proud of her for sitting through a knee tattoo, because let me tell you.
The good news is I won't have to tattoo another knee because I only have 2 of them, and this was the only one left.
There you go. Now you're through it. So I also wanted to thank the mods who are here. There's going to be a lot of this Diddy coverage. There's a lot of diddling going on behind the scenes. So we're going to be doing a lot of Diddy coverage. And, the ultimate question is, how many dudes would Diddy diddle if Diddy did diddle dudes? And I think the answer is a buttload of dudes. So we're going to get into this. First off, we need to talk about the opening statements. We need to talk about what the defense said. We need to talk about what the prosecution said. This was the very first day. And if you don't know what an opening statement is, the opening statement is where, they basically are trying to summarize. They're introducing their case to the jury. And they're going to go down there and they're going to be like, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is why we're here. This is what we're going to prove to you. This is, the meat and potatoes of the case. And the prosecutor's going to be like, this is why he's guilty and you need to find him guilty. And the defense is going to be like, this is why he's innocent or not guilty in this case, because they're not even trying to claim that Diddy is innocent. Diddy has the best defense team that money can buy. This dude is a billionaire with a B. So you know that he's got the best defense team that money can buy, because wouldn't you, if you were facing a life sentence for federal crimes, serious federal crimes, and you had billions, wouldn't you spend whatever it took to not spend that time in a federal prison? I know that I would. So he has comprised himself the most expensive, best defense team that money can buy. And the best that they can come up with is, this dude is a piece of shit. This dude does illegal stuff. This dude is a woman beater. He's a manipulator. He's toxic. He does crimes. He does drugs. He does sketchy sexual practices. But he's not guilty of what they're accusing him of. And that's their whole defense here, as we're going to get into. So first, we're going to talk about the prosecution. They opened up with the scope of the allegations. Prosecutors allege Combs committed crimes including kidnapping, arson, drug distribution, sex crimes, bribery, and obstruction. Repeatedly, and with the help from his inner circle, because as you understand, they're trying to get him on a RICO charge. And what is a RICO charge? That is an organized crime charge. We started the RICO thing back in the day because of the mafias. They wanted to be able to have a tool, a legal law tool they could use to dismantle the mafia and organized crime. So this is an organized crime accusation that they have. The alleged violence against Cassie Ventura is clearly going to be a centerpiece here. Prosecutor Emily Johnson said Combs forced his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, to have sex with male escorts and recorded it for blackmail. She described one incident in which she claims Combs allegedly made a male sex worker urinate in Cassie Ventura's mouth. She also describes how Combs allegedly went on the hunt after learning Ventura was seeing another man. He took a gun, found her, and beat her severely. Now, they don't say in this whether that's Michael B. Jordan, which is what I'm going to assume, because as we know, Michael B. Jordan has already been brought up in this situation. But it could also be Kid Cudi, because it's been very well documented that Kid Cudi believes that Diddy was the one who blew up his car. So there's two different ways that could go. We're going to take a look at that as we get further into this case, I'm sure. So the prosecutors also talked about his king mentality. Prosecutors described Combs and his inner circle and told the jury how those close to Combs said he committed crime after crime as they helped him. They added that Combs called himself a king and expected to be treated as one. The focus in this case is going to be on two victims. The attorney said the prosecution's case will focus on two women, Ventura and another victim they'll call Jane, a pseudonym. Yeah, Jane Doe. Everybody knows John Doe and Jane Doe is what they use when they don't want to identify somebody. But it's crazy to me because I was really thinking personally that this was going to have to do with Little Rod as well as a victim. Because as you remember, Little Rod had, I believe, a $30 million lawsuit. I think Cassie settled out for $30 million on her lawsuit. And I think Little Rod had a $30 million lawsuit against Diddy that included Cuba Gooding Jr. Allegations of Diddy trying to pawn Little Rod off for sex with Cuba Gooding Jr. That's wild. And Cuba Gooding Jr. Getting all handsy on Little Rod's Little Rod. Yeah, so I don't know if he's going to be a witness in this or not. But when the feds initially built this case, it was off of information from these two's lawsuits. That's part of how they got the initial warrants, was because they started investigating because of these two lawsuits, man. So they're also talking about the Freakoffs. Johnson described the multi-day events that Combs allegedly orchestrated, where women, including Ventura, were allegedly drugged and forced into unwanted sex acts. She said Combs made Ventura take drugs beforehand and physically assaulted her to show her who was in charge. Great guy, great guy. But, you know, the defense isn't speculating that he's a great guy. They're saying that he's a piece of shit. He's a woman beater. They're also saying that Cassie Ventura was physically abusive to him. And that was sort of their dynamic, was that they had an abusive relationship. But everything was consensual, you guys. Linking Combs and staff to racketeering conspiracy. This is important. This racketeering carries life in federal prison. Johnson said the racketeering conspiracy charge against Combs covers his alleged plans carried out with his high-level employees and bodyguards. Together, they agreed to commit different crimes: kidnapping, arson, distribution of drugs to other people, exploiting employees for labor. The evidence, Johnson described various records that will come up during the trial, including dozens and dozens of text messages about freak-offs, bills for hotel rooms, car service, and damages to hotel rooms. She said the jury will also be shown video evidence of portions of these freak-off tapes. So I want to point out at this point in this that this is not going to be televised. And a lot of people have asked me, this is the biggest case since OJ. So if this is the biggest case since OJ, and that was televised, why isn't this televised? Well, it's a federal case, and they televise state cases They don't allow cameras into federal court. We have somebody in the chat, lawyer on call. Welcome. Glad to have you here. He said, he or she, I'm sorry, I shouldn't assume. But hold on, where did that go? They said, not true. I was in court today. He never made anyone piss in mouth. Clickbait. Well, you know, it's crazy that you, random person without a profile picture, is saying the exact opposite of what all of the reporters who were there is saying. Now, I don't think we hate the media enough, but there is well documented that this happened. So I don't really trust you just because you have lawyer in your name, friend. I think that there's plenty of other sources talking about exactly what was said, and they are all in line with each other. You with no profile picture and the word lawyer in your name are the only person claiming that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about what everyone else who was there is saying and ignore you for the rest of this. Defense. This is what their opening statement was, man. Combs is complicated. He's complicated. He can change. Attorney Tenny Gragos
I'm sorry.
says the case is about love, jealousy, and adult choices, not racketeering and sex trafficking. Gallegos called Combs very flawed and admits to jealousy-driven domestic violence, but denied all trafficking and conspiracy. Good to see you, Grub Mud. Hell yeah. Domestic violence is not sex trafficking, he said. While Combs takes full responsibility for acts of domestic violence in this case, domestic violence is not sex trafficking. Jurors were told not to judge Combs for his sexual preferences. So look, here's what he's... Come on, man. He wouldn't be copping to this if the video wasn't being allowed to be shown. He's stuck in this position. That video, like we've said from the beginning, is a huge centerpiece of the evidence in this case. So because it was allowed in, this was the angle they had to hit. And I'm going to tell you right now, admitting to some shit to a jury is a great angle. It's a great play. If you're going in and you are, facing charges, like when I beat my case, I admitted that I saw this car and the doors were all open and lights were on and it was the motor was going and it was raining and I was cold and I was just looking for a way to get out of the rain for a minute. So I got in and I saw a backpack and I thought it might have, a jacket in it. So I grabbed that and I stole and I trespassed and I did the bad things, but I never stole that car. And the jury believed me. And I got off of the stolen car by copping to the lower charges that didn't carry a prison sentence. That if I had gotten convicted of stealing the car, it would have been 5 years in prison. But by admitting to the lower crimes, I ended up getting 72 days and I was out of jail by the time I was done with trial when I was found not guilty of that one charge. So it's a good ploy. It's a good ploy. And by the way, lying in court didn't work out for me because I ended up right back on the street, strung out. Like I could have sworn on a handful, a stack of Bibles that I would never do meth again and I would never do a crime again. I was literally in the courthouse, in that holding cell, praying, saying, God, if you just get me through this, I'm a change. I'm going to be a good boy. And as soon as I got that not guilty, I was like, I'm bulletproof, dog. They can't touch me. I'm the ultimate criminal. I was such a dumbass, bro. I was so stupid, man. I'm really, really glad that I got my head out of my ass, bro. The video of Ventura, Gallegos called the 2016 video in which Combs was seen assaulting Ventura indefensible, but instead it's evidence of domestic violence, not sex trafficking. The defense also claimed Ventura had willingly stayed with Combs for 11 years on her own terms, contradicting the prosecution's claims of coercion. Consensual acts. Gallegos said, explicit videos of the Freakoffs may be uncomfortable to watch, but show consensual acts not based on coercion. Somebody asked how long I've been clean now. John Doe. I've been clean 6 years this July, my man. So, over 5.5 years I've been clean and sober and happy every single day. My life has never been better, homie.
And I'm so proud of you.
Super, super blessed. And it's not all of my own doing, man. There were a lot of people who came into my life and helped me figure out how to change. And I'm very grateful to them. So dismissal of baby oil evidence. Gallegos referenced the massive amount of baby oil that was seized by law enforcement searching Combs' home last year. He said, "You may know of his love of baby oil, but is love of baby oil a federal crime? No." This is literally shit that was said in court today, dog. Is love of baby oil a federal crime? No. Motives. Gallegos ended the opening statement by urging jurors to consider the motive as they hear the testimony during the trial. Everyone who testifies has a motive. Well, here's the thing, is Cassie already got her money, dog. Cassie got paid out. So what are you implying here? What are you implying is her motivation? She's already very well known. Her name is already everywhere. She's pregnant. She's married. She's moved on. It's not like she wants to get back in Diddy's life. Diddy already paid her to keep her quiet, but because it was criminal shit, the NDA doesn't hold up. Stu said, "Your pokies write check, your face can't cash." Okay. Are you all right, bud?
Clearly not.
Are you all right? Check your levels on your medication. You might need help there. So that's what the opening statements were to the jury this morning. The prosecution calls LAPD officer as first witness. So Flores joined the LAPD in 2018. He's also a reservist with the Army. Before joining the LAPD, he worked for Securitas for 10 years. In 2016, he was working security at the Inner City Hotel in Century City. Now, this is where all of that went down. Officer says he went to the hotel as security for a call for a woman in distress. He said that he recognized instantly Combs. He said that the woman was clearly in distress and she seemed intoxicated, and that Combs gave him a handful of money to keep him quiet. The surveillance system monitored the roof, the interior, and the parking lot of the hotel. There were at least 3 cameras per floor covering the elevator lobby and 2 more in the hallway facing north and south. The prosecution's first witness testified there were additional cameras on the floor in the if the hallway had more turns. Flores testified the cameras recorded when they detected motion. When security personnel responded to an incident in the hotel, they were required to file incident reports. Those incident reports would include photos if there was damage to the hotel. Officer said that Combs had a devilish stare after the altercation. He said that when he went in, he found Combs had a devilish stare. He testified that he arrived and he saw him sitting in a towel and socks. He was just looking at me. Flores said Ventura looked scared, sitting with her hoodie pulled up. Flores testified that he escorted Combs and Cassie back to the room. At one point, Combs told Cassie, "You're not going to leave." And Flores said that if she wanted to leave, she could. Once they reached the room, both Combs and Cassie entered, but Flores kept the door propped open with his body. He testified there was another man in the room, but the man wasn't engaging in conversation with any of them. The officer testified that Combs then approached him with a wad of cash. Flores took it to mean don't tell anybody. He declined the cash and told Combs he'd be charged for any damages and instructed the music mogul to stay in his room. He said he left the hotel, Ventura left the hotel the next day with a purple eye. So she was swolled up and had a black eye the next day. The officer said he filed an incident report that included Combs and Ventura's names. Prosecutors using security guard to set up scene and identify Combs at hotel room before video, former prosecutor says. So they had that testimony as a way to introduce the video. And the jury saw that video today. They saw what we saw, and they saw additional footage that we haven't seen. So they've seen more than we have. They've seen multiple angles. They've seen more of the time. They saw the whole sheboygan, per se. I love both those words, by the way, sheboygan and per se. I think we don't say those enough in today's modern society. And I think that our limited vocabulary is part of what's wrong with today's society. I would like to make a motion to bring back sheboygan and per se. Is anybody with me? Please let me know.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. Officer said that he only didn't call the police after the altercation because he asked if anybody wanted to press charges. And Cassie said, I want to leave. I just want to leave. Now, this sounds like a woman in distress. I want to leave. I just want to leave. I don't want to press charges. I just want to leave. Sounds scared and in distress. Jury also saw recordings of surveillance from the officer's cell phone. The defense began their cross-examination after the prosecutors wrapped up. And this is when we see Brian Steele. You guys remember Brian Steele from the Young Thug trial? The dude who would have gotten Young Thug off completely if Young Thug didn't break down through the process of his trial. Now, I can't be mad about Young Thug breaking down because going to trial is a pain in the ass, bro. They wake you up at like 3:30 and you got to get ready. They leave you in a little holding cell for hours and then they drag you to court and then you get back late. Going through trial is difficult, and this was one of the longest trials in Atlanta history. But I feel like Brian Steele would have got him off scot-free if he hadn't broke down, changed his plea, and threw himself at the mercy of the courts. Defense attorney Brian Steele is asking Officer Israel Flores about his testimony in which the officer described Sean Diddy Combs as having a devilish and scary look on his face. Steele questioned, why wasn't that description in the incident report that you wrote at the time? That's a good question. That's a solid question. That is a way to break down confidence in this officer's testimony. Flores said, it was my opinion then, and it is my opinion now. Which is also a good answer. But if he was writing an incident report and it was relevant then, and it's relevant now, it should have been in that incident report.
Yeah, but aren't incident reports supposed to only contain the facts of what occurred and not the person who's writing the report's opinion?
Well, he's testifying to the facts of what occurred, and he's testifying to his opinion. But yeah. Officer testifies that wad of cash Combs offered him was definitely a bribe. Defense attorney Brian Steele noted that Flores had told Combs he would have to pay for the hotel damages. He again asked Flores if he believed Combs was offering him money as a bribe or if he was offering him money to pay for damages. Brilliant way to gaslight the situation. That's a brilliant way to gaslight the situation by Brian Steele. Well played, Mr. Steele. Clearly this dude is going to earn his money on this. Anthony Cavazos, great to have you here. We are a little bit into this, dude. We're just talking about the Diddy trial. We've talked about the opening statements, and we are talking about the first witness, who was the security guard who responded in the hotel with the incident that we saw in the video where Cassie Ventura was brutally beaten by Sean Combs in that hotel. So the prosecutors said that they will likely call expert witnesses to testify about victim behavior, which is a great move because I believe that they have like for the most part, it seems to me like they have a mainly male jury, I believe, and a lot of men aren't going to really be able to wrap their minds around what the idea of, like, what a woman is going to look like when she's being victimized, when she's in a trauma situation, especially a long-term trauma situation like this. Defense attorney questions then security guard about the incident report. When Flores was asked about why he didn't put the facial expressions in there, he said he didn't think that it was relevant, but it's still memorable. Man. Defense attorney Brian Steele pointed out in the incident report that Flores filed, they said Flores grabbed his hand and told him to back off, but it does not detail him pushing Combs against the wall. I feel like we missed something there. Oh, okay. So it said that in his testimony that he had to push Combs against the wall to get him off of Cassie Ventura. That's crazy. So that was the first witness. And that's pretty wild. That's a lot for a first witness. And as soon as they wrapped up with that witness, they showed the video. And we all know what video we're talking about. We're not talking about the Freakoff videos yet, but those are supposed to be showed to the jury. Man who says he was paid to have sex with Ventura describes their encounters. Yo, Butt Knuckles, homie, what's up, man? Thank you so much, bro. So good to see you. I love your name. This fool should be in jail for Pac's murder. He would hire Southside Crips when he would visit LA. He put up $1 million bounty for Pac and Suge to SS Crips. The money was paid out. Gene Deal breaks down what happened. Yep. And who knows, bro? So once the feds is on you, I'm just going to let you guys know, once the feds is on you, the feds is on you. Just because this is the only case they've put on him so far doesn't mean it's the only case they're going to put on him. They could still come back. There's no statute of limitations on a murder trial. So they could come back and hit him with murder, conspiracy to commit murder, like all that shit, bro. All that shit. They could 100% come back up on him with that. Daniel Phillips said he was paid to have sex with Cassie Ventura on multiple occasions, describing how their interactions would go. He testified that Combs would direct him and Ventura as they had sex. Basically, what he attests to is that Diddy would be sitting in the corner cucking. Just cucking one out, dog. Just, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Cucking. heavy on the cucking. And he'd be just out there pulling one out in the corner. Gooning. He'd be gooning in the corner while watching them and telling them, yeah, dog. Yeah. No, take that. Type-ish. And that he would be just weird and shit.
Why did that almost sound like a Tyson impression?
I don't know. I don't really, I've never listened to Diddy enough in his speaking mannerisms or his raps, because I think his raps have always been weak as shit. I've never listened to him enough to develop a good Diddy impersonation, but that did almost sound, if I did a little bit more of a lisp, take that. That'd be kind of Tyson-ish, right, dog? Right? So one time he said that Combs complained that they weren't using enough baby oil. They were booty-ass naked, and he said, we need more baby oil on y'all. Maybe that's why when he was arrested and they raided him, he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Maybe he was like, you know what? There wasn't enough baby oil, and I'm never going to go through that again. We're going to buy bulk baby oil, bro. We need all the baby oil.
We don't even buy that much in Monster Energy drinks or protein. That's insane.
Nah, dog, but we go through it. There was also another time when Phillips said that Ventura instructed him to urinate on her while Combs was cucking in the corner. That's some cuckzilla shit, bro. Like, who gets off on... Who gets off on that? Phillips said he often didn't wear a condom when having these encounters with Ventura, and he brought an STD history at one point to verify his health status. Yeah, if you're going to cuck in the corner, you definitely don't want to see no latex, dog. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to pee into a girl's mouth while you're wearing one of them condom thingies. The witness said that Ventura once appeared to be intoxicated. He thought that she was on drugs. And that Combs said to him one time, "I don't think it's going to happen today," he testified. Phillips said he took Molly once, a synthetic drug that Combs had offered him, and he felt nauseous, but also euphoric at the same time. Yeah, that's kind of, so for those of you who've never done Molly or X, for those of you who've never, you aren't Thysians, maybe you never went to a warehouse rave in Portland and took a couple pills that made your jaw go like this. You know what I'm saying? And danced all night long. It can make you nauseous. It can make you nauseous. It feels like, like a 6-hour orgasm that goes from the tips of your hair to your fucking toenails. And you ever felt your toenails? You don't feel your toenails. On X you do. It's crazy as shit. Phillips said that he was paid between $700 and $5,000 to $6,000 for each encounter with Combs and Ventura, but sometimes he was not paid at all. "I was just excited that I was in this world and happy to be involved with people with such notoriety. I didn't care if I got paid one way or the other." So, you know what? That's going to go to the defense right there. As far as his testimony, what he said right there, that sounds entirely consensual to me, at least on his part. But they're not claiming that he's a victim. They're claiming that Cassie Ventura was the victim because there was a long-standing history of violence and that she would be drugged for these encounters. That's crazy. Phillips also recalls a time when he saw Combs assault Ventura at her home. He said, "I was shocked. Ventura was on the computer when Combs shouted at her to come here. When Cassie responded that her personal information was up on the computer, Combs came out and started dragging her by her hair into the bedroom. Phillips said she was repeatedly screaming, 'I'm sorry, I'm sorry,' while he heard what sounded like Combs slapping her. And then Combs saying, 'Bitch, when I tell you to come here, you come. Now, not later.'" Well, that's not looking good for him. But as the defense is trying to paint this picture that they were domestically violent, but that all the sex stuff was completely voluntary and consensual. So, really it's going to be up to the jury how they view that. How do you guys view that? Do you think that this history of him forcing her to do shit, dragging her by the hair, beating on her, all of that, do you think that there's a chance that she felt coerced into sexual actions that weren't consensual? Because I think there's a very good chance that a jury is going to be convinced of that, especially when she gets up there. Hella prego, dog. Hella pregnant. No, she wasn't Sir Pothead. She was not, and I love your name, by the way. She was not pregnant at the time. She's pregnant now. But I think this is going to paint she's going in there to look at this jury in the eyes, looking 9 months and a half, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like her belly big. That's why they were trying to delay this trial, because they knew it cooks them out. The defense, it cooks them out. So I think that it's really going to work against Diddy that she's going in there that pregnant, dog. Anthony Cavazos, thank you so much, my dude. I appreciate that. Anthony said this situation Diddy is in is, I bet, very huge slap in the face for him. All his crap catching up to him. I wonder what's going through his head now. You think he regrets it, or do you think he still doesn't give a crap? I guarantee you he regrets it, bro. He's looking at the rest of his life in a federal prison. He's going from living in mansions from the West Coast to the East Coast, having crazy mansions in Miami, And down Miami way, the weather always nice. And then out in LA, to literally sitting in a place that's called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center is called Hell on Earth. That's what it's nicknamed. So, you know, and Trial Junkies United, thank you so much for bringing this up. I do think she felt she had to go along. He was filming these altercations or these encounters as blackmail to keep her there. Abused women aren't able to walk away without fear. And not only that, but he was using his position of authority and power over her in the music industry. And keep in mind, that's her profession. She's a professional musician. I believe she's going to come out and testify that he told her on numerous occasions, if you want me to not kill your career, you better play ball. You better let me cuck in the corner while dudes ball you in the back passage. And we're going to cover both of y'all with as much baby oil as I want. So there's a lot of room to be able to prove coercion here. There's a lot of room. This video is so central to the prosecution's case, not because it depicts Combs and Cassie in an altercation. It's part of a bigger narrative for the prosecution that Combs, in any instance, to get individuals to comply to his criminal enterprise and with conduct at that Freakoff, that he used violence to do so, which is coercion. And they're talking about this as part of the criminal enterprise. And as we know, the criminal enterprise, if they prove a pattern of criminal behavior with a criminal enterprise, that's organized crime. What is that? Racketeering. What is racketeering? That's a life sentence in the feds for Diddy. Woo! And I think they're going to get it. I think with what they have today, if the jury was to deliberate by the end of the day with the information that we have in front of us, I think it might be close, but I think they get the conviction. I think it's pretty damning so far. Anthony Cavasso. Anthony said, when I think of the Metropolitan Detention Center, I think of HBO's TV show Oz. That's how I imagine it. And you know what? That's a show that I need to take the time to watch. I absolutely do. Jack Hammer said, JD, you know boredom is a mofo in jail. He went to from 100 miles per hour to 0. And yeah, everything about his lifestyle has completely changed. He's regretting all of his life choices right now because he could be out not sexually assaulting people and cucking in the corner and having a good life and being with his family. And he would never, ever work again and not spend his money in 10 lifetimes, bro. But, you know, it fucking sucks being in jail. That money don't do nearly as much in there. So the trial is adjourned for today, but here's what to expect from tomorrow. Excuse me. I got these burps, bro. I got these burps. So the judge dismissed the jury, instructing them not to read about or discuss the case. Daniel Phillips, he's the government's second witness who testified to having paid sex with Cassie Ventura on several occasions, will be back on the stand tomorrow to continue testifying under cross-examination. That means the defense gets to ask him their questions tomorrow. The judge instructed Phillips not to have conversations with anyone, including his lawyer, about his testimony before he returns tomorrow to the stand. Defense attorney Xavier Donaldson says he still has about an hour of cross-examination for Phillips tomorrow. The attorneys are going to begin at 9 a.m. In the morning, and they're going to argue evidentiary matters they expect.
Hence the AM.
Well, you know what? That's when I'm drinking my second cup of coffee is about 9 a.m. I'm still probably in my underoosies at that time. I'm a night person. I work till 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and then I crawl into bed with this beautiful woman, and we watch, you know, whatever show we're watching for a few hours till about 2 in the morning. And I'm not a morning person because mornings are mean. Witness testimony is set to begin at 9:30, and the judge warned the public on trying to depict or identify jurors. Don't do it, the judge said. Think of being a juror in this case and the possibility, considering Diddy's long history of witness tampering, obstruction of justice, trying to threaten, trying to bribe. If somebody identified these jurors, especially from Diddy's team, because Diddy still has a team. Anybody who's got $1 billion, I guarantee you, they got a team of motherfuckers who are willing to do what that dude wants them to do. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a real good chance that if they identify the jurors, that Diddy going to have somebody on his team go, hey, man, how's $1 million sound to throw this case? You know what I'm saying? Anthony Cavazos, when you say regretting his life choices, are you saying he's humbling up and opening his eyes to the harm he inflicted on people? No, that's what I think regret is. That's how I'd regret it. No, I believe that he's regretting, not from the aspect of empathy for others, but from the empathy, the angle of empathy for himself. I think that he is probably in a place where he's like, man, I really screwed up my whole life. I don't think he's capable of having empathy for other people. I just don't think that's it. VillaTube telling me to stop yelling. You may as well just swipe, bro. Scroll on to the next dude. Scroll to somebody who sits there all monotone and talks like this.
You weren't even yelling this
I'm not. I haven't even yelled this whole time, bro. I'm tired. I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning, which is not my usual. I'm not even energetic today, bro. It's been a long day already. We finished remodeling our living room today.
Wow.
Almost. Twitch said, yo, JD, I dropped that tomahawk in the mail. Yes, dude, thank you so much, bro. That's beautiful. They said it should be there by Thursday. Hope it serves you well as it serves me, bro. Bro, thank you so much. That is such a beautiful gift, and I appreciate it so much, dog. I appreciate that, dog. Thank you so much. I'm going to come and show you guys all the tomahawk that Twitch sent me as soon as it gets here. Because, like myself, I really like throwing axes. I actually have, I've won a couple of competitions. I was a competitive axe thrower in Daytona Beach, Florida. So I've gotten a couple of these things under my belt. And when Twitch found that out, he sent me a tomahawk that I'm going to reveal to you guys when it gets here. And I'm so excited about that, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love throwing axes. And when I throw axes, I wear a kilt. I have a kilt collection. And I have a brand new kilt that was custom made for me by my brother that is made out of different patterns of camouflage that I've been waiting to christen. So I might set up an axe throwing situation in my own backyard so I don't have to leave the house to do it. What do you think, Jax?
I think that would be lit. And it's funny because we got married, you were in a kilt.
And I also have taken you on an axe throwing date.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was upset about some stuff. And you were like, you know what'll help? Let's go throw axes. And I was like, well, that could be good, but I'm also like almost legally blind. So that could also be a really bad idea. We'll find out.
So Anthony Cavasso said, I feel bad for Diddy's lawyers. Imagine having to defend a monster because it's your job. Well, they are very incredibly well paid for this, my friend. I don't think that they're too tripping about their position in life right now. I'm good friends with some attorneys, and some of them have to defend bad people. And the way that they compartmentalize that is they have a job to do. Their job is to provide the person with the best defense, whether they think they're guilty, whether they think they're innocent, whether they think they're a monster or not. But you can't have a system of justice without defense attorneys. So I think I don't think Brian Steele's tripping. I don't think any of those people are tripping. Backwoods Templar, he's regretting getting caught. Exactly, homie. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Thank you so much, Roy Davis Jr. I appreciate you, homie. Irish Bomb Squad said, Diddy cost BlackRock and Vanguard $20 billion in his lawsuit of some company owned by them for racism. Damn, I didn't know about that, bro. He's cooked. He's cooked. And that might be why he lost some of his protections, because he was protected for a really long time. And if you ask anybody, especially 50 Cent or Jaguar Wright, they'll tell you that it's common knowledge within those inner circles that he is for a long time now been working with the feds. And that's probably, him working with the feds and his ties with BlackRock would seem like pretty solid shields to me from getting prosecuted for any of this stuff. So maybe that's why this is actually happening at this point. Turd Ferguson said, you said tomahawk, I thought steak. Well, now that you said it, Turd, I want me a steak, bro.
I got you.
Yeah. E-Rock said, Diddy is the distraction from the Epstein list, the sacrifice for the masses to hopefully satisfy us. I believe the true elites don't care if a few movie stars are jailed. And you know what? You might got a point there, but it's still important because there is a huge trail of victims, homie, with the Diddy list. And none of those victims are less important than the victims of the Epstein case. I think
been the motivation to go after him now, but that doesn't make what he did any less important.
Facts. So we're not going to trivialize what those victims went through because there are other victims that might have more high profile, perpetrators in them. And I 100% believe that there are some high profile perpetrators in the Epstein case that they are still covering up to this day. And I believe that the fact that they've pump faked us so many times and stalled off on releasing what they swore they were going to release for so long, I think that proves that those people are still in power today in this current administration. Now, I think that one thing that I think is different about Epstein from Diddy is I thoroughly, and this is a conspiracy, you can call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but I believe that Epstein was I believe he was an agent who was working for a foreign entity where he was being paid to get blackmail material on high-ups and elites from multiple countries. British royal family, people here in the U.S. Nana Emma nailed it, absolutely. And I think that Diddy is more just somebody who was, low-level elite in this country and working with the feds. So the Epstein thing is definitely a higher echelon of people. And I think it's much more international than just, the U.S., which I think Diddy is. James, what's up, man? The Diddler's next song in the prison shower. They took all my baby oil. Hell yeah, dog. That's what's up. Hey, if you guys could do me a favor, there's a lot of people here. There's not very many likes. The like button is free. So if you want to smash that like it's Diddy's face, it could be cathartic. Yo, Medic Mark, thank you so much, homie. I need some help, man. I understand everyone has their day in court, but the guy that lives across from me has some diaper sniffer charges, and every time I see him, I want to crack off. Well, Medic Mark, let me ask you a question. Is he currently facing those charges, or has he already been run through court, convicted? Like, give me a little bit, and it looks like, are you in Canada? Because I believe it's saying that you're in Canada. So if you could give me just a little bit more information on that, man, I'd love to talk about this with you. Anthony Cavazos, on a bright side, Diddy is now bunking with Onaki. Yeah, bro, Diddy is bunking with Onaki and soon to be bunking with Big Country. Sure enough. Now, the thing is that Diddy's going through a major high-profile trial right now. So they're going to have him in a place where nothing's going to happen to Diddy right now. Just like when, Danny Masterson was going through his trial, they were making sure that he wasn't going to get no hands put on him until after all his court appearances were over. But then once he got to prison, a gang got him within the first few days. They did it right in front of the cops. They didn't care. A lot of these high-profile cases, they'll keep you as safe as possible until you're out of the limelight, until you're out of the public view. They got to sort of keep appearances up because it makes them look bad when it comes down to them showing people that they can't control the violence in there. James Hassel, what's up, homie? Much love from Titusville, Florida. Bro, that's what's up, man. I'm a little jealous that you out there in Florida right now. It's cold and cloudy, and it was raining here all day. I miss me some Florida. I actually walked off a job in Titusville one time. I was out doing tree work with this absolute putz, and I was on $140,000 bond facing a bunch of charges. I was on pretrial, and he wanted me to do some illegal shit with them, and I told him no, and he just kept being a dick about it. So I just jumped out of his truck and walked away and left him in Titusville, and I called an Uber and paid like $100 and something Uber back to Daytona, bro. But Titusville, bro, there's some beautiful shit out there, man. Big love to you out there.
Oh, he was so mad.
Yeah, well, he could die mad, bro. I'm not, I'm on $140,000 bond, bro. There's 0.0% chance that I'm even jaywalking, homie.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, quit it.
What was that?
I believe that was one of my lights falling off the wall.
Oh, no.
Happens. It's all good. Walked off a job, done that before, James. Hell yeah. Much respect for doing what you do. You needed to do for your freedom. Well, man, I'm going to tell you, I disrespected my freedom for so long, brother. I did dumb stuff and I put myself in bad situations for so long, bro. I needed to have a wake-up call. And for me, my wake-up call was the Secret Service and the SWAT team putting me on my face, dog. I needed that. And I'm honestly, I could not be more grateful to those men for what they did, because now I've got a life that I never could have imagined. Medic Mark said, I'm in Canada and he is about to go to court. Sadly, he's currently serving in the Army too. And as a veteran, I just see red every time I see him. Man, I completely understand, but I would 100% just let that play out and see what they do. I don't know as much about the Canadian legal system as I probably should. But I'm really hoping that he gets what he has coming to him, brother. I really am. But I wouldn't risk your life and get involved, even though he lives across the street, man. I can imagine your anger, though. Trev said, trying to keep up with the daily lives is a bitch. Sorry, buddy, but there's a lot going on out here, and we got to stay up and we got to stay current. Anthony Cavasso said, $140,000 bond charge. Oh, crap. I'm sorry, man. That sucks. Well, to be honest with you, bro, it was a whole stack of different cases. Because when I got busted in Florida for my organized fraud, counterfeiting, and possession of meth, that was in another county. But the county I lived in, they had been investigating me for over a year. They spent $1.2 million investigating me and my friends. So they stopped their investigation when I got clean and sober and I was living right. There was nothing left to investigate. So they had these cases they had built and they were trying to stack enough charges to put me away for a long time. But they didn't have enough yet. And so then they just threw what cases they had at me. They had a sales of meth. They had a possession of, IDs that weren't mine that they tried to pin on me and stuff like that. And I could have gotten my way out of most of them. The dude who did the controlled buy on me for the sales of methamphetamines was a good friend of mine, bro, who was strung out and he was in a bad place. And, he did what he did. But he hit me up and I told him, hey, bro, I know it was you. And he was like, oh, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, hey, check it out. I ain't mad at you. He's like, I promise I won't show up to court. I could have beat that if I wanted to go into court and lied. But I didn't want to lie my way out of another case because like I talked about at the beginning of this, I lied my way out of a case and I ended up just right back out there strung out on the streets thinking that I could win every single time. And that didn't do me no good. I had to take accountability for my crimes and my actions. I had to take accountability for the things that I had done so that I could take my consequences and move forward like a man. And luckily, that approach worked out really good for me. You know what I'm saying? That approach is what I've built my life on that I have now, today. So I'm really excited that I have the life that I have today. So, well, you guys, we're going to jump out of here, and we're going to be back tomorrow with some more Diddy coverage. Until the next one love to each and every one of you guys, and be good or be good at it.